The magnificence of our house always captivated me. Its grandeur reflected Gary's wealth, which suddenly seemed hollow in the midst of our conflict. The tension in the air crackled as we sat down for what was supposed to be a peaceful, romantic supper. I summoned the strength to face Gary about his affair. My voice trembled, disturbing the peace of the evening. The revelation appeared to stop time, casting a long shadow over our opulent surroundings. Gary's cool exterior broke, replaced by a tempest of rage. His face distorted in rage like I'd never seen before. The pricey decor served as a backdrop to his rising wrath. He laughed at my remarks, his voice rising to a terrible pitch. As Gary's manner darkened, the warmth of the candlelight became smothering. His eyes, which had once been filled with devotion, now blazed with an unsettling intensity. I stayed firm, seeking what I thought I deserved: a divorce. His response was a deafening quiet that filled the room. The grandeur of our home suddenly felt hollow and frigid, a misleading surface that concealed the turbulence in our relationship. The narrow line between opulence and antagonism blurred at that moment. The opulent setting became the scene for a clash that would change the trajectory of our lives forever. I braced myself for the storm that was about to consume us as the tension grew. Gary's rage caused the air to crackle like electricity. His controlled exterior cracked, and our lovely dinner scenario deteriorated into turmoil as a result. The atmosphere of our opulent home had devolved into a war driven by betrayal and hate. Gary's rage burst like a raging flame, as if a switch had been flipped. The dinner table shattered to the floor with a loud, deafening smash, sending china and crystal tumbling in all directions. The lavish array of food was spilled and trodden among the ruins, a stark contrast to the richness that had decorated it seconds before. Gary's eyes burned with an uncomfortable mix of wrath and betrayal. His soothing voice had turned vicious, spewing accusations and denials in rapid succession. I stood frozen in terror, seeing the man I thought I knew morph into a raging storm. Gary's hand sprang out in a horrifying display of unbridled rage, striking me with a power that reverberated throughout the room. As I fell backward, shock and pain gripped me, the stinging feeling of his punch sending vibrations through my body. The magnificence of our surroundings stood in stark contrast to the horror happening within them. The beautiful decor and pricey furniture bore evidence to the shattered bits of trust and love that had once defined our relationship. In the midst of the chaos, I grasped the extent of Gary's betrayal. His ferocious wrath revealed a harsh reality, a reality in which opulence concealed a toxic undercurrent that threatened to drown everything in its path. I felt the shattered bits of our once cherished existence together scatter into irreparable pieces as shards of glass glinted on the floor. Gary's uncontrollable wrath sent me into a tailspin. Adrenaline rushed through my veins as I tried to flee the maelstrom of violence that had consumed our once grand meal. I escaped Gary's exploding rage with shaky hands and a racing heart, yearning for safety. My steps were quick, and my breathing was shallow and rapid. As I walked the luxurious maze of our home, each step reverberated through the elaborate halls. Fear ran through every fiber of my existence, fueling my desperate attempt to flee. My hasty journey led me to the balcony overlooking the gleaming pool. With nowhere else to go, I found myself perched on the precipice, the sea below a glistening abyss. The distant noises of turmoil behind me were drowned out by the roar of my own heartbeat. My world seemed to be frozen in a terrible state of limbo. I lost my footing and careened over the balcony, falling into the pool below, as if in slow motion. As I fell, time seemed to stop still. A mute scream caught in my throat. The rush of air, the confusing sensation of free fall, and the impending contact with the ocean provided an unsettling sense of serenity amidst the turmoil. The chill of inevitability wrapped around me in that dreadful instant, a merciless embrace predicting a tragic conclusion. As I fell into the water, the impact sent shockwaves through my body. The world turned upside down. Panic overtook me as I struggled against the crushing pressure of the pool's depths, disoriented and unable to find my way back to the surface. The surface broke in a fortunate stroke of luck, and I gasped for breath, choking on water and dread. I glimpsed at the edge of the pool through confused vision and a pounding heat, a lifeline in the midst of the chaos. Fate had provided me with an opportunity to escape the clutches of tragedy. My body trembled with shock and relief as I clung to the pool's edge. The lingering stench of death hung in the air, a disturbing reminder of the fragile line between survival and disaster. I regained my wits in that little pause, grateful for the small escape from an abyss that threatened to engulf me whole. As I dove into the pool's depths, the freezing splash of impact resonated through the air. As I struggled against the swirling currents, dazed and gasping for air, panic gripped me. The water's weight crushed down on me, threatening to draw me into the suffocating abyss. I clawed my way to the surface, fighting my way through the veil of terror and bewilderment. The pandemonium of the moment coalesced around me as I broke the surface, panting for precious oxygen. The maid was pulled to the pool's edge by the noise. She extended a lifeline, a helping hand that pulled me out of the water's clutches, with a rapid and firm resolution. Her acts, a light of hope in the midst of chaos, saved me from disaster. I dropped by the poolside, coughing and gasping, my body quivering with shock and exhaustion. The adrenaline rush of survival rushed through me, accompanied by a tremendous sensation of appreciation for the prompt intervention that saved me from drowning. Meanwhile, the maid's brave intervention put an end to Gary's anger. Her prompt action intervened, preventing additional disaster. His rage lingered in the air, mingling with the palpable tension that now pervaded the once grand mansion. A frightening silence fell over the sumptuous surrounds as the violent storm passed. The shattered fragments of our lives were strewn about, broken glass, overturned furniture, and the lingering shards of shattered trust and treachery. The aftermath of the conflict left a lasting mark on our home, serving as a vivid reminder of the narrow border between luxury and turmoil. The night's frightening events had changed the exquisite facade into a disturbing image of shattered elegance and broken relationships. Despite the short escape from disaster, the emotional scars were deep. The poolside break provided some relief, but the scars of the confrontation left a deep sense of insecurity and damaged trust. The anguish within me matched the broken reality of our once grand life, leaving me teetering on the precipice of an unknown future as I clutched to the edge of the pool.